right, so we're diving into Malaysia's budget 2025.
And we're breaking it all down for you.
You know, we've got you covered. We've gone through all the details, all the ins and outs
On the news.
to figure out what matters, what's going to actually make a difference
To you.
to you listening, to your business, to your wallet.
Absolutely.
So let's jump right in because this year's a big one.
It is a big one. RM 420 billion.
Wow.
Record-breaking budget.
Okay, so they're putting their money where their mouth is, trying to boost the economy after the pandemic.
They are, and it's about recovery, but it's also about positioning Malaysia competitively.
Right, because we can't just look inward. You got to see how we stack up globally.
Exactly, and the IMF's global growth forecast, it's only at like 3.2%. So
Okay, so we got to do better if we want to stand out.
that's the goal. They're aiming for almost double that growth, somewhere between 4.8 to 5.3% this year,
Ambitious.
and then 4.5 to 5.5 in 25.
All right, so how do we get there?
Opportunities.
Okay.
A big focus on local businesses, making them more competitive.
Yeah, because strong businesses, that lifts everything up.
Or exactly. And one way they're doing that matching investment fund.
Yes, for local suppliers, I saw that.
Huge potential there, especially if you're in, let's say, electronics, the E&E sector, specialty chemicals, medical devices.
So those are really the sectors to watch, sounds like.
Definitely worth a closer look, but,
But there's always a but, isn't there?
well, you know how it is. Got to read the fine print. And in this case, that means understanding the sales and service tax changes.
Yes, taxes, the ever-present topic.
Starting May 2025, they're expanding it.
Okay, so what does that mean for businesses? Should they be panicking?
Panic, no. Prepare, yes. The details, which goods and services will be affected, those are still being worked out.
So stay tuned is what you're saying.
Exactly. This is one where you gotta stay informed, see how it impacts your specific operations.
Makes sense. Can't just assume it won't apply to you.
Right. Do your research.
Now, speaking of things to research, there's this whole forest city development.
Yes, the duty-free island.
It's kind of wild. They're really going for it,
It builds on what the previous government started, but this is next level.
trying to make it a hub, not just for tourism, but for all sorts of economic activity.
Exactly. And those tax breaks, they could be a game changer.
So if you're a business, any business really, is this something to look into?
Worth keeping an eye on for sure, but remember, specifics are still to come. Eligibility for the tax incentives, that'll be clearer by early next year.
All right, so another one to watch, but we'll make sure to link all that up in the show notes so you can stay in the loop.
Absolutely. Got to stay informed.
Now, let's shift gears a bit. Talk about how this budget hits closer to home.
The individual impact.
Exactly, because this is what everyone wants to know, right? How's this going to affect my wallet?
Well, when it comes to your personal finances, this budget, it's trying to do a lot.
Yeah, it's a balancing act for sure.
Encourage investment, but also tackle that rising cost of living. Not easy.
Not at all. So let's get into it, starting with everyone's favorite, taxes.
All right, straight to the point. There's a new tax, 2% on dividend income,
Oh, okay, that's got some people's attention.
but, and this is key, it only kicks in if you're earning over RM 100,000 in dividends per year, and from Malaysian companies specifically.
Okay, so unless you're rolling in those dividends, probably not a huge worry.
Exactly, it's targeted at higher earners.
Makes sense, but what about the rest of us dealing with those rising prices?
Well, the Sembangan Tunai Rama, the STR payments, those are going up.
Oh, good, that'll be a help, especially for those hit hardest.
Right, and it's targeted, the B40 category in particular.
So putting money directly into the hands of those who need it most.
That's the idea, but it's not the only way they're trying to ease the burden.
No. What else is in the works?
Think about families, especially those caring for elderly parents. The costs can be huge.
Absolutely. And it's only getting tougher with healthcare expenses and all that.
Right, so they're expanding the tax relief for that, covers a lot, medical treatments, nursing homes, even special needs care.
That's big. That could make a real difference for people.
It recognizes the reality so many families are stepping up to provide that care.
And speaking of families, got to talk about housing. That's a big one. Always is.
For sure, and for first-time buyers, there's some good news.
Okay, lay it on us.
They're bringing in a tax relief on housing loan interest payments.
All right, break it down for us. How much we talking?
Depends on the price of the home. Up to RM 500,000. You can claim RM 7,000 per year in relief. And for homes between RM 500,001 and RM 750,000, it's RM 5,000.
Not bad, not bad. So that takes a little bit of the edge off those monthly payments.
The idea is to make it a little easier, especially in those early years of home ownership.
Makes sense. And this applies when for homes bought next year.
That's right, January 1st, 2025 through to December 31st, 2027.
So if you're on the fence about buying, that might be the little push you need to take the plunge.
Could be. Now, all this is great, but the budget also has this longer-term vision.
Right, it's not just about the here and now.
They're talking about digitalization, upskilling, really preparing Malaysians for the future.
And how exactly do they plan on doing that? Okay, so
Yeah.
we've talked about the here and now, the immediate impact on people's wallets.
But yeah, this budget, it's not just about quick
So
fixes.
there's a definite focus on the long game, right?
Absolutely. And a big part of that is digitalization.
Makes sense. The world's going digital. Got to keep up.
Exactly. And that means investing in infrastructure, making sure everyone has access, especially in those more rural areas.
Bridging that digital divide, right? Because it's not just about having the internet, it's knowing what to do with it.
Exactly. Digital literacy is key. And that ties into their whole upskilling push.
So giving people the skills for the jobs of tomorrow, not yesterday.
Exactly. And they've put some serious money behind it. HRD Corp, they've got RM3 billion allocated.
Wow, that's a lot of zeros.
It is. And the goal is to provide 3 million training opportunities.
Okay, so they're not messing around. This is a real commitment.
They're serious about it. And the training focuses on those high growth areas, digital marketing, data analytics.
The stuff everyone's talking about these days.
Right. But also high tech manufacturing, green technologies, all in line with that new industrial master plan.
Okay, so they're thinking ahead, trying to anticipate where the jobs will be.
Exactly. And not just catch up, but be leaders in those areas.
Ambitious. I like it. Now, speaking of the future, got to ask about sustainability.
Right, because everyone's talking a good game these days.
But does this budget actually walk the walk?
I'd say so. It's not just lip service. They're putting real money, real action behind it.
Okay, so give us the specifics. What are they actually doing?
Well, a big one is that shift to a greener economy. They're pouring money into renewable energy projects, incentivizing electric vehicles.
Yeah, I saw that Peru is going to start making EVs. That's huge.
It is, and they're aiming to make them affordable under RM 100,000, locally assembled too.
So making it a real option for everyday Malaysians, not just the wealthy.
Exactly, and they're keeping those rebates for electric motorcycles too, trying to make that transition easier.
Smart move, because every little bit helps.
Right. Absolutely. And it's not just EVs. They're pushing energy efficiency, sustainable agriculture, even tax breaks for people who buy those composting machines.
So it's really about integrating sustainability into every aspect of life.
Exactly. Making it the norm, not the exception.
And that's what's so encouraging about this budget. It's not just about numbers, it's about a vision for the future.
A better future, hopefully a more sustainable one, a more equitable one.
Absolutely. And it's a team effort, right? Government, businesses, individuals, we all have a role to play.
For sure. And this budget, it lays out a roadmap. Now it's up to us to take those steps.
Couldn't agree more. Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, from taxes and investments to digitalization and green tech. It's been quite the deep dive.
And we've barely scratched the surface. There's so much more in the details.
Which is why we'll be sure to link up all those budget documents, government websites, all that good stuff in the show notes.
So you can explore, dig deeper into the areas that matter most to you.
Exactly. Because knowledge is power, as they say. But for now, this has been the deep dive. Thanks for joining.